Within the past few hours, China has said it's opening an investigation into European wine.
Yes, that's right. China says it wants to investigate unfair subsidies and what's called dumping. Dumping is the practice where companies sell products at below the fair market price in order to gain market share. Well, Chinese consumers have been developing an increasing taste, like this lady, for European wine. In fact, exports from the EU reached almost €1 billion in 2012. And look at the French share of that. It's about 3/4 almost. So this would affect France pretty strongly if they decided to take any action.
There seems to be a feeling that this Chinese probe is in retaliation for a decision on Tuesday by the European Union.
Yes, the timing is very interesting here, and it's raising fears of perhaps an escalating trade war between the two blocs. Now, the European Commission says it's slapping duties on Chinese makers of solar panels. Now, it says it's doing that because of the same reason, really, dumping, unfair subsidies as well. Now, these tariffs will start on Thursday of this week, and they'll start at 11.8%, rising to almost 48% just in a few months in August. Well, the commissioner responsible for this told France 24 why he had decided to take this action.
We have to re-establish a level playing field, allowing that the Chinese, of course, still will have a market share, but that also European companies can compete on equitable terms, and also, for example, invest again in research and development, which is very important for new generation solar panels.
Okay, we're going to stay now in Asia, and we're going to take a look at the markets.
Yes, let's do that. And in particular, we'll take a look at the Nikkei, as we seem to do a lot of times, because it's closed down 4%. Now, actually, earlier in the session, it was up. But what's been going on there in Japan is the Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, has been giving the latest details of his plan to revive the country's economy. Now, his plan's already got its own name. It's Abenomics. There he is talking. And it has what's called these 3 arrows in the plan. Now, the first are monetary policy, public spending, which we've already seen. But what he's been talking about today are structural reforms, promoting investment, getting more women into the workforce, for example, and promoting innovation. But as we saw there, investors perhaps not giving it a huge vote of confidence so far.
Okay, let's move to the U.S. now, and there's been a rare loss for Apple in its home market.
Yes, now a U.S. trade agency has said that Apple has violated one of the patents that's owned by its arch-rival, the South Korean Samsung. Now, it's the latest in this long-running battle of back and forth between the two companies, but it's the first time Apple has lost in the U.S. Mark Thompson has more.
A rare defeat for Apple. The technology giant has lost its first major patent battle against smartphone rival Samsung in the United States. A US trade panel ruled older models of the iPhone and iPad infringed on their competitors' technology. Apple now faces a ban on imports and sales of AT&T versions of the iPhone 4, 3 and 3GS, the iPad 3G and the iPad 2 3G. But Samsung's victory is largely symbolic. Those models made in China are no longer sold in the US market. Samsung says the decision confirmed Apple's history of free-riding on Samsung's technological innovations. Apple called it disappointing and says the company plans to appeal. It's the latest case in a bitter legal battle between the two companies. In August, Samsung was ordered to pay Apple almost $600 million. It was found to have intentionally infringed on Apple's design patents and usability functions. The two technology giants are going head-to-head in no fewer than 10 countries. Between them, they account for over half of all global smartphone sales.
All right, and real quick, New York has taken a bold approach to improving its economy.
Yes, now New York as a state, like all states, has to compete to attract business. Now, it's not the city that we can see here. In fact, that has lots of success attracting companies to it, but it's more the upstate areas. And the governor of New York has decided to make certain zones around universities there tax-free. Now, that means no taxes for companies, no taxes for people that work in those zones, but just around key universities as well. This is all a plan from Andrew Cuomo, as we can see there. And he says he'll promise this no-tax plan for the next 10 years. So we'll see whether that works out for them.
Matthew Warren with the Business Update. Thank you very much for that. Okay, it's time now for web news.
As the anti-government